They flexed their biceps, but completely forgot about their conscience.
Oh! If I smash your door in and come into your house, what will you do?
These cocky thugs think they'll get away with it, but karma has a terrible punishment in store for them.
Hey.
You're about to see the most brazen bodybuilders who crossed every line and instantly got a crushing response. This is Karma Land. Here we go. Famous blogger and bodybuilder Larry Wheels always thought there was nothing better than his massive muscles. So full of confidence was he that he even decided he could compete in real boxing matches.
Let's see, guys.
And in the fight itself, he really did land some good punches.
Bro, his arm is huge.
However, at the very last moment, his steroid-pumped muscles deflated.
Oh, he's stumbling too. Oh my God.
Larry wanted to land a cheap punch, one prohibited by the rules, since his opponent had already fallen. But at that moment, his bicep burst. The arrogant jock realized that real boxing isn't that easy.
Due to an injury, this bout has been called a no contest.
Yeah, you're right.
But Larry wasn't the only steroid-fueled idiot. Ashton Hall also had faith in his muscles. But this blogger decided to test his strength against a real monster from the UFC, Arman Tsarukyan. However, much to Ashton's surprise, Arman finished him off even faster than he could polish off another burger. And in the end, Hall ended up in the Hall of Shame. This pumped-up beast thought he could take on an arm wrestling legend. The great Devon Larratt tried hard not to fall for the dumb jock's provocations. But the bodybuilder wouldn't stop shamelessly humiliating the veteran in front of the fans. The strongman was so sure his muscles would crush Larratt that before the event even started, he attempted to scare him off. Yet once the bout began, the so-called Musclehead turned out to be nothing more than a screeching little girl. Shifting a pro's arm was harder than moving a mountain. Devon Larratt toyed with him like a child, before effortlessly reducing the arrogant bodybuilder to a humbled state for good. Check out this cocky musclehead.
Oh my God!
It all started the day before when this dumb jock stormed into a jiu-jitsu gym and attacked the first person he saw. He didn't know that his target was a coach who promptly mauled him like a ragdoll, delivering a couple of fatherly slaps in the process. The coach proved that bulging muscles are nothing compared to years of finely honed technique.
Who's the master? You are. Yeah, say it. Say it loud.
After that, the loser was kicked out in disgrace. But the scumbag returned the next day, pretending he wanted to apologize. That handshake turned out to be a Trojan horse, masking a true rat act.
Oh my God!
Then the coach put that overconfident fool through a hellish torture session to re-educate him. Not satisfied with that, the jerk decided to pick an even weaker opponent. But a fragile girl then put that hulking musclehead down like a wild child, punishing the cat even faster than her coach. When the giant came to, he lunged at the person who had helped him, hoping to take down at least someone, only to be humiliated and punished once again, finally realizing his own insignificance. And then there's this steroid-fueled beast who believed his bulging muscles and tattooed, mutilated body made him invincible. Zdravko Tarnadzhiev is pure arrogance in human form. This insolent bodybuilder strutted into the fight with unbridled confidence and high-handedness, in stark contrast to his very reserved professional opponent. On top of that, he, like a sneaky rat, grabbed his opponent by the throat, publicly humiliating the modest fighter. He entered the bout as if it were an easy walk. That cocky grin never left the face of this tattoo master's draft, even in the cage. However, once the fight started, his opponent found it easier to beat him than to hit a punching bag, and karma made sure that the arrogant prick paid a brutal price. Next up, we have a Russian strongman, one of the leading powerhouses in Russia. Mikhail Koklyaev, after shattering countless strength records, decided he could conquer the MMA world.
Высокий профессионализм демонстрирует нам Koklyaev.
To prove it, he challenged the fighting legend Aleksander Emelianenko, the younger brother of Hafþór. Before the fight, the cocky bodybuilder even dared to provoke the pro fighter. But when the bout began, his confidence quickly vanished. The bell rang, and for a while, thanks to his sheer size, the strongman managed to hold his own. But as soon as the pro started fighting with full force, that pile of muscles quickly turned into a pile of crap. Next, this overconfident guy strutted into the boxing gym and challenged the very best, thinking he'd crush his opponent with ease. But once the musclehead stepped into the ring, a seasoned professional boxer turned his challenge into a brutal torture session. All those muscles he'd built over his life proved utterly useless, as he was completely demolished. Then, a gigantic bodybuilder decided to test his strength against UFC legend Dustin Poirier.
Ready to go, let's get it done.
At first, the strongman flaunted his size, mocking the much smaller Poirier. They even dabbled in what was supposed to be a friendly spar, but for the bodybuilder, Dustin was like a fly to an elephant. This bout was scarier for Poirier than even a fight with Khabib, because it's no easy feat to hold down a gorilla. However, the bodybuilder's stamina soon ran out, and Dustin quickly took advantage of it. He executed an armbar on the massive bodybuilder, proving that you can't underestimate a UFC champion. Finally, this Russian bodybuilder decided to assert himself by choosing a guy who weighed much less as his opponent. However, the pro was determined to show that technique beats brute strength. At the start, the overconfident jock dominated with his sheer size, making his opponent look like a helpless child rather than a fighter. But as soon as the professional unleashed his full power, the musclehead got hit with a brutal barrage, turning that massive build into a heap of garbage, and soon sending him to work on his most important muscle, his brain. Hafþór Björnsson became famous for his unimaginable strength and the physique of an ancient Greek god. Apparently, along with his immense strength, he had gained immense self-confidence.
Don't fucking mess with me.
He had the audacity to disrespect none other than Conor McGregor himself.
I seen you work a little bit with McGregor.
McGregor?
Yeah.
There was a time where I had to grab with him, where I felt like I can crush this guy.
However, by challenging UFC fighter Gunnar Nelson, the jock had no idea he was signing his own death warrant. The moment the fight began, the jiu-jitsu black belt wasted no time showing the steroid idiot the full range of his techniques. He coiled his limb around him like an anaconda, almost ripping the giant's arm clean off. In the end, the pro fighter brutally punished the bodybuilder, showing him that muscles don't matter in a real fight. This chemically enhanced bubble named Bob Sapp not only had a reputation as a dirty rat, but even dared to challenge the great Mike Tyson.
Hey, let me call you Kid Dynamite. You mess with me, I'll put your fuse out.
With every opponent weighing less than his steroid-pumped ass, it's no wonder his ego skyrocketed after each easy win. This time, Sapp was up against a real-life Chinese panda in human form, a fighter named Aorigele. The cocky jock clearly underestimated the heavyset fighter, and before the fight even started, he arrogantly threatened the Celestial Warrior, even attacking him in his overconfidence.
Versus Aorigele, Changsha, China, Road FC 32, July 2nd. Victory never tasted so sweet.
Once the referees started the fight, it was clear the chubby fighter saw the jock as nothing but a quick snack. Next, Aorigele, with fists as sharp as Chinese chopsticks, began teaching the arrogant rat some manners. In the end, Aorigele found the giant's off button right on his face, delivering a brutal punishment. Mariusz Pudzianowski, a name that still echoes as one of the most famous strongmen in the world. After conquering 5 titles as the world's strongest man, the cocky Pudzianowski decided to kick down the door and step into the world of combat sports. By throwing down the gauntlet to the kickboxing legend, none other than Peter Graham. Pudzianowski had only sealed his own fate. Barely a second had passed after the bell, and the fighters, like wild dogs, charged at each other with ferocity. For a brief moment, it looked like Pudzianowski was treating Peter like an additional protein snack in his diet. Once back on his feet, Graham dove in like a hawk. Eventually, he sent the jock to the Phantom Zone, showing once again that in a fight, it's skill, not strength, that truly counts. This Russian bodybuilder, Mikhail Sidorichev, tipping the scales at 150 kilograms, had the audacity to challenge a schoolboy named Kantemir. Underestimating the young boy, Mikhail arrogantly started taunting him, thinking he could get away with him. Their fight resembled a duel between a grandfather and his grandson. As soon as the bell rang, it was clear to everyone that Kantemir wasn't just aiming for victory. He wanted to rip the arrogant scumbag's hand off. In the end, he gave the cocky giant a brutal lesson, leaving him forever humbled. Remember that clown who got a brutal lesson from the jiu-jitsu master? Clearly, he never learns from his mistakes. This time, the overconfident fool walked into the boxing gym, and that turned out to be his fatal mistake. Right from the start, his opponent wasted no time, using his fists to deliver a harsh lesson to the idiot. He ended up brutally punishing the cocky fool, giving him a lesson he'd never forget. This dumb bodybuilder's ego had climbed all the way to the top of Mount Olympus. Clearly, the bodybuilder's brain, flooded with chemicals, couldn't think straight.
Try MMA, the ultimate weapon, capable of killing any man? Yeah, they would never allow me into the ring.
With all his arrogance, he fearlessly challenged UFC fighter Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He didn't even shake his hand, which turned out to be a fatal mistake for the idiot.
Best of luck to you. Hey, you too.
Hey, you too.
Right away, Wonderboy began teaching the bodybuilder the true wonders of martial arts. He brutally punished the arrogant rascal, shutting his filthy mouth for good.
This massive jock came into professional sport thinking his muscles would intimidate anyone. His first opponent was so much smaller that the audience feared for the guy's life. But once the fight began,
this goes the distance.
Heavyweights, but you already figured that out.
Heavyweights, but you already figured that out.
only then did the strongman realize that a real fight is far more complicated than flexing in front of girls.
They're not beautiful punches, but if they hit all sorts of damage.
But it was too late because the professional sent the bodybuilder straight to the shadow realm.
Not at all.
Oh, big right hands punch, and that's it. Stopping the fight.
Right here, plus 93.
This guy spent his entire life building muscle and now stepped into a fight against an opponent half his size. The bodybuilder believed his huge frame and steel muscles guaranteed victory. When the fight started, the pro proved that in combat, intelligence matters more than strength.
Come on!
Oh no.
30 seconds, come on! Come on!
In the end, he easily exhausted the giant and left him completely drained.
Oh, not again! But these MMA guys, it's on another level, man.
In this sparring session, they decided to find out who's stronger, an overpumped gorilla or a professional boxer. The strongman was sure his muscles would do all the work, but against a professional, it became clear his body was only good for mirror selfies. Throughout the entire fight, the bodybuilder couldn't land a single punch and was shamefully sent to the Hall of Shame. In this video, you witness those very bodybuilders getting exactly what they deserved.
Let's go, Devon! Come on, Adam!
Give this video a like if you want a new part.
Koklyaev совершенно забыл те уроки, которые все.
Да, тяжелое положение оказывается Mikhail, но
Я очень
сумеет ли он
сомневаюсь.
подняться, да.
This was Karmaland. Thanks for watching.
Não,